Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Hey, it's Fender Friday. This isn't necessarily a Fender, but it's based on a Fender guitar. But this is the Glarry Brand ST3 model guitar. Now, the company Glarry Music reached out to me. They wanted me to do a review on one of their guitars. And I'm okay doing reviews for other companies, but I'm going to be open and honest about how I feel about their products, whether the company wants me to do that or not. So here is a high-end Les Paul guy reviewing the bottom of the barrel Strat. But I've got to tell you guys, this thing impressed me. Now, when I'm talking bottom of the barrel, this company sells this guitar for $61.99. Do you have to pay shipping to get it? No, free shipping. I don't understand how they can make these things and be profitable with that free shipping. Because not only do you get this guitar, you get a strap, a pick and adjustment tools for the neck as well as the bridge, a whammy bar, which is always handy, and a fairly basic gig bag. All that for 62 bucks. If you check out their eBay site, they're actually a little bit cheaper at 58. But this is the Glarry ST3 model. Glarry, as a company, sells a bunch of starter level instruments that ranges from $40 acoustic and classical guitars, $60 to $72 electric guitars, as well as basses. And heck, you can even get a $20 to $30 ukulele. They have those in some pretty cool finishes like kiwi and other fruits. I tried to get them to send me a bunch of those to make a fun video out of them, but they said limit one per reviewer, please. So I chose this one because I thought it was the most attractive guitar, and I was really curious. Can you get a decent guitar for 62 bucks shipped to your door? I've got to tell you guys, I was really excited to open this. Curiosity was definitely getting the best of me, and you can only tell so much from the stock photos on the site. So let's go ahead and dig into this guitar. This is a 3-piece basswood body. Basswood, very low-end grade of wood. You don't see it used a lot except for on starter instruments. But to be honest, it's got some nice wood grain to it. The finish is supposed to kind of be a tobacco finish, but it almost reminds me of the Gibson Smokehouse Burst. I was really impressed with the color on this one. The back of the guitar is completely black, and you have an unfinished maple neck. Now, what I mean by unfinished is this neck just feels like wood. It's been sanded down and it just has like a natural feel to it. Typically on a guitar, you'll have at least some sort of satin finish, or on a higher-end model like a gloss nitro finish or even poly on a Strat. And that gives the product a more finished feel. However, I personally really like the feeling of a matte finish because it feels closer to the bare wood. Now, I'm sure they have some sort of treatment on here, but the lack of that could cause neck warping in the future. So keep that in mind. That was the very first thing I noticed about this guitar though, is the neck. It takes a little bit of a getting used to, that it's just kind of a raw finished product. Now, what's good about that is you could finish this in any way you want. If you're looking for just a project guitar, you won't have to worry about stripping any type of finish off of this. So you could give it a nice color, or you could just oil it up or something like that. The specs on the website for this guitar claims this is a maple fretboard. I'm guessing they just copied and pasted that listing from their other offerings, and this is some type of rosewood looking fretboard. Or who knows, maybe they just dyed the maple to look like rosewood, but you have a chocolate-ish looking fretboard here. Now, when I got this, it was a little rough looking. So I went ahead and oiled it, and I feel that made it feel a little bit better. So it's kind of at that point where if you were to put a finish on the neck, this would feel like a more accomplished guitar. The neck profile on this thing is super chunky. We're talking like almost a 57 reissue Les Paul here. It's definitely a very deep C neck profile here. I took measurements. I got 15/16 at the first fret and a full 1 inch at the 12th. So it really is beefy and chunky. And if you're a beginner, you might not want this one. But if you're somebody who likes a large 50 styled neck, this could be a good option as a project or something. Now, the other reason why I say it might not be good for a beginner is when you're first starting out, some people, depending on your hand size, you might want a slimmer neck. I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning on a fat neck. It's just that many beginner instruments are a slimmer, tapered profile. I'm guessing it's this large because it's a little bit easier to manufacture. Playability of this thing. For $62, is it absolute garbage? I did not know what to expect from this thing, but as soon as I plugged this thing in, I was immediately impressed. The fretwork is phenomenal on this. I didn't notice any dead spots anywhere. I didn't notice any sharp frets or anything like that. They really did do a fantastic job with the frets on this one. I didn't see any tooling marks on the fretboard or anything. And it really did play nice up and down the neck. My only complaint was this guitar was not necessarily set up at all. The action was a little bit high for my personal tastes. So you can use that Allen key that they gave you in the setup kit. And basically these saddles were just all the way up. So they just needed adjusted down a little bit. And once I did that, this guitar just opened up to being a much better player. But how does it sound? Is this a custom shop killer? No. It's got that cheap Strat sound to it. I would say the pickups, they lack the bass. So I find myself wanting to be on that first position neck pickup to kind of compensate for that. So it's a little bit thin sounding in some of these other positions, but it still gives you that classic quacky Strat tones. So it's not garbage. You don't have to rip these pickups out right away. If you're just learning, they are perfectly suitable for that. The 5-way toggle switch, it's actually kind of interesting. This is a PCB board toggle switch. When I tore this guitar apart, I was kind of baffled by that. I hadn't seen that before, but then again, I haven't seen too many Stratocaster parts. The only thing I really have against this is it's a little bit stiff to move. I mean, here you can see I'm whacking it pretty good, and it's not really flipping. Now, when you're trying to move it on purpose with 2 fingers, it definitely will move, but here you can hear this click. It's very stiff, so sometimes that almost seems a little too stiff, but honestly, I would rather have it be too stiff than too loose and you're just willy-nilly going on any pickup position. So that can kind of go either way. It's just something worth mentioning. The volume control on this is really good. You can definitely get some roll-off tones and it responds very well. However, the tone knobs, not so much. What I found is from between like 6 to 10, you have 1 tone, and then between 1 and 4, you have like the off tone. So the roll-off of the tone pots, not so good, but you do have the option for like an open sound and then the closed sound. The output jack, it kind of cut in and out on me a few times, but not so much that I'm really gonna like knock this guitar for it. It is a very basic output jack. You could probably upgrade it to like a Switchcraft part and just completely be done with that forever. But it definitely functions as it is right now, but you can occasionally get some scratchiness. Now we'll move on to the tremolo unit. the unit itself, stock from the factory, it's very stiff. Like, it's not exactly usable in your traditional methods. Like, if you just want to do a slight swell down, you can't really do that because you have to press down on this with a decent amount of force to get any type of wiggling action. So when I opened it up on the back, I found 3 springs, and I found that the unit was completely screwed into the guitar. So I loosened that a little bit. I actually removed one of the springs because I heard sometimes that can help. But then when I strung it back up, it was kind of like a floating Floyd Rose type thing where the bridge was sticking out of the body and you could go down and up. I thought that was kind of cool. But then I thought, oh, people will have a heyday with that. The bridge isn't even level. So I went ahead, I put that spring back in, and I just loosened the unit a little bit. This way, it's a little bit more traditional in its use. What I found really interesting about this, though, is when I took this pick guard off, you know how there's a grounding wire that attaches to the back of the tremolo unit? I'm not sure how it normally goes there, but I'm pretty sure that most Strats don't have a big gaping hole underneath the pick guard, where if you took the pick guard off and if you took the back guard off, you can just see straight through the guitar. But that is apparently how they make their guitars to make it a little bit easier to attach that ground wire. So that moves us to tuning stability. We could use some better tuners on this guitar. It's not awful. It's not like the mini Les Paul bad, but it's not gonna stay in tune perfectly with these kind of cheapo tuners. I mean, it does the job, but I always found myself tweaking it a few cents here and there. If you really bent the note, sometimes it'd be off like by a quarter of a tone or something. But, I mean, if you're a beginner, you don't have to worry about that because you're not going to be doing crazy bends like that. You're just going to be learning smoke on the water and whatnot, so that won't really affect you until you start getting higher into the playing stratosphere. Here's something else I noticed about this instrument is you see how right here the nut and the strings go along here. You've got your 2 string trees. But what is happening here is there is not enough clearance between the end of this fretboard right here and the nut. So what's happening is the fretboard is actually being indentated by the strings. I'm not sure if that's negatively affecting tone, but I thought, hey, it's worth mentioning. Maybe Glarry can fix that on future guitars. So overall, this Strat, I'm impressed with it. I didn't know what to expect for 60 bucks. I spend more than that on just a single pickup on a Les Paul, but this gets you a complete guitar. It's not perfect. I'm sure you could deck this thing out with some custom shop pickups, give it some locking fender tuners, finish the neck in a nice way, hey, maybe even relic the body to make it look cool. And then you'd have yourself a pretty decent little guitar. So I think if you're looking for something just to start on, maybe you've been watching my channel just admiring all the guitars and you want to get started, honestly, 62 bucks, you can't go wrong with this. And hey, even if you want to quit, just throw this on your Craigslist for 50 bucks and I bet it'll sell really quickly. Or this company does offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So hey, if you thought this video was great and you wanted to try one yourself and you buy it and you're like, Trogly, what are you talking about? This thing is garbage. You can send it back. All you gotta do is pay return shipping. And you might be like, oh, there's the catch. Shipping is gonna cost more than the guitar, so that's how they're getting away with having a 30-day money-back guarantee. Nope, because they'll actually help you. They'll send you a return label that has their reduced rates. So I'm guessing you're gambling with about 20 bucks here. It comes in a little tiny box like this, so if you attach a handle to it, you could use it as a makeshift case because it's just the right little size. So now that we know a little bit more about Glarry music instruments, let's go ahead and hear how this one sounds. Now that we know how this guitar sounds, let's go ahead and review its condition. Being a new instrument, there's not a lot of playwear on this except for what I've played on it, but this is just more so to look at like the factory, what they've done to it. On the headstock here, you just have Glarry's name on it. Again, this is an unfinished maple neck. It's got a very raw feeling to it, and there is a truss rod in there, so you can adjust it if you need it. The neck was perfectly straight for me though. The only thing on this one is there was a ding here. I'm pretty sure that came from the factory, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't hold that against Glarry. But there are a few other things that they should be notified of. The frets are in great shape. I played this thing like a good 20 minutes or so. I didn't see any wear starting to form, but that doesn't mean that these frets are going to last as long as like your other types. And again, the fretboard was a little bit raw looking and feeling until I oiled it up. So if you're going to get one of these, I would definitely suggest also picking up a thing of 65 Dunlop fretboard oil. I'll leave a link in the description. We'll take a look at the body here. Glarry did a pretty good job on this. You can see there's a few uneven spots like right here, and when they were sanding it, they didn't quite get quite right. But at this price point, you can't really complain. You've still got your kind of comfort cutaway fin right here, so it's definitely Strat styled here. And they did an awesome job on the fit and finish of this thing. There's very few areas that we really have to even go over. Back of the headstock, no serial number or anything, so these won't ever really be collectible guitars. But you can take a look here at the maple neck. It's a very low grade of maple. You don't have any figuring to it or anything, but hey, maple neck is a maple neck. It'll give you that slightly brighter tone. And it is a bolt-on. What I found interesting about this is I took the neck off and whatnot, and you have a metal plate right here, and then you have like a plastic retaining plate underneath that. I thought that was interesting. And the neck itself didn't necessarily have any identifying characteristics to it, but it was cool to see it taken apart. It's kind of looking a gift horse in the mouth, but oh well. The back of the instrument is all black. You can see you've got some smudges and fingerprints and whatnot, but I didn't see any like factory defects on the back though. I'm not sure if this is how it is on normal Strats, but this back plate does stick up, so you can like hit it with your belt buckle or whatnot. I'm not sure if they usually impress into the Strat or not. Maybe that's the reason why people take those off. But you do still have your comfort cutaway right there. And now we'll take a look at the sides. This is where you can start to see some more factory defects. Right here, you can see that the black finish did not catch in that area for whatever reason. And these aren't cracks in the neck pocket, but it's kind of like where the finish wasn't like sanded away properly. It's kind of slightly sharp right there just because the finish is like sticking out a little bit. You've kind of got that on both sides of the neck. But that's pretty much it as far as like, you know, quality not being so good. You've got interesting strap buttons on this thing. I almost thought, is that a Dunlop strap lock? That's almost what it looks like. I tried to put a Dunlop on it. It didn't fit. And then the top one up here is actually completely different. It's more your standard style. Now we'll do a blacklight test, not because I think there's going to be any repairs on it. Simply just because this is what we do on this channel. We check for breaks, cracks, and repairs. And this is just kind of a part of all of the fun. I really like how the inlays glow a color. You've got the nut glowing a color, and the pickups. It's just kind of a cool looking guitar under blacklight, so why not share it, hey? Since this guitar doesn't come with a case, I thought I would go ahead and review the strap it comes with as well. I would not suggest using this strap. It's a very nice novelty freebie item that they can market saying, hey, it comes with all this stuff. But the parts that actually go onto your strap buttons are very thin and flimsy. Like, you can almost just rip it with your fingers. I mean, it's not quite that fragile, but you could easily cut that with scissors. These really remind me of like those Guitar Hero straps. I mean, I don't want to completely crap on it because, hey, it's a freebie item. It's not supposed to be perfect. But when I did use this strap, the guitar did fall a few times just because it's not the best. So if you're just using this to like sit down and play to keep the guitar in place, great for that. Using this on stage or using it with a higher end guitar because it was a freebie, no, you might not want to do that. We'll take a quick look at the gig bag as well. It's a soft material. It's just a standard zipper. I noticed that they feel a little bit weak, and there was actually a gap in between the teeth, so I'm guessing it won't last too long, but it's definitely better than no gig bag at all. The inside, it looks like the inside to like one of those freezer shopping bags. It's kind of got that silky feeling to it. I mean, it's definitely very basic, but hey, it's just a freebie. So, I hope you troglodytes enjoyed this episode of the Trogly's Guitar Show. This guitar, I mean, it's not necessarily for sale. I thought we would do something fun. It's kind of like the American Pickers or like American Traders. I don't remember. I was watching a show where I got the idea, wouldn't it be cool if I take something like this, very low end, bottom of the barrel. I want to list it on like my local buy trade sells, Craigslist, trade only, to see if we can get from a bottom of the barrel Strat up to like a custom shop quality guitar, just strictly by trading guitars around. So I think I would like to introduce something called TradeTuesday or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and list this on my buy trade sell site. Not because I don't like this guitar. Thank you, Glarry Music, for sending it to me. But I think it would be interesting to see what other low-grade guitars we can review and to ultimately see what we can get to. So if you're looking for a beginner guitar or even just a cheap player that you can beat around and not feel bad about, I would suggest buying one of these. So I hope you troglodytes enjoyed this video, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.